I'm warning y'all now, this one's gonna be pretty rambly. Hi everyone, my name is Laura and I recently got off the Appalachian Trail. I did not complete my through hike. Y'all can check the videos down below if y'all want to find out why. I recorded a couple videos about it already. It's in the description. Since getting off trail, I have gotten a ton of questions about, you know, just various things about trail life, what I've done since I got off trail, you know, just a plethora of questions. So today I figured I would come on and answer some of them. No, I'm not going to be able to answer all of them. Just for time's sake, I feel like we would be here forever. I already feel like this video is going to be super long. And no, I'm not planning on editing a lot of it. I think it's just going to be a very like one take scenario type of a video. So if you're here for the ramble, stay tuned. If you're not here for the ramble, maybe just wait till the next video when it's not so rambly. So the number one question I've honestly gotten from a lot of people, friends, family, coworkers, various subscribers, is do I regret getting off trail? So a lot of people talk about getting off trail being like a really big decision. You know, when I was speaking with various people on the trail about wanting to get off, they're like, well, you don't want to regret it, just make sure you're really sure about your choice. And I mean, the short answer is yes and no at the same time. I mean, I regret getting off because obviously this has been a really big goal of mine. I've been working towards it for a really long time. And to say that I did not complete the through hike is kind of hard. And obviously seeing various people on trail still and like watching people's videos and just seeing like the cool things that they're seeing, you know, it's the highlight reels on social media that you see. It's kind of tough to see those things. A lot of people I've had to like mute on Instagram, just not because I don't want to like follow them anymore, but because like it's hard for me to see those things right now. Especially like seeing all the cool views and like when it looks like they're having good weather, it's hard to see that. So yeah, it's been a little tough in that regard. And you know, people asking me like, oh, where are you now? And I'm like, I'm home, and having to like relive the whole situation over and over again when like everyone starts to like ask me, where are you? And then I have to tell them I got off trail, like quit. That's been really hard. But at the same time, I don't regret getting off because, you know, I mean, at this point, it's almost 3 weeks since I've been off trail, and tomorrow will be like 3 weeks of me officially being off trail, but my feet are still like in pain. I mean, my left foot's pretty okay. My right foot, not doing great, sis. I actually bought these UFU running recovery sandals, and I've been walking around these in the house for the last couple days, and it's actually been a lot easier to walk around with those, so thanks UFU. I mean, I bought them with my own money, but still. So, I mean, if I were to have stayed out there and continued hiking, I think I would have done some serious damage. I mean, I already probably did some serious damage to my right foot. I'm hoping it's not anything serious. I've been really trying to rest, and I mean, the swelling's completely gone down. The bruising for the most part has gone down. At this point, it's just kind of like pain in certain areas of my foot. So I'm thinking like it's gonna get better on its own without having to go to the doctors, but we'll see. If it continues for like another week or so, I'll probably head to the doctors and just be like, yeah, it's been a month of me being off trail and I'm still having pain. But anywho, regardless of that, yes and no. I regret getting off because I obviously wanted to finish it. I still have a desire to go out there and through hike. I still have a desire to see the whole entire Appalachian Trail, but getting off trail is probably what's best for my health, my mental health at that. If y'all watch my I quit video and the following video that's gonna come out that I am making, or I already filmed it actually. It's already scheduled to go up, but I made a whole video about why, or things that I would do differently if I were to go back out and through hike again. If y'all watch that, then you'll see like my mental health was not doing great out there, and there's a lot of things that I should have done differently while I was out there, and I could have probably still changed if I was still out there, but I'm not. So anywho, short answer is yes and no. So the second question I've gotten a lot from more like friends and family has been, would I ever go out and reattempt the Thruhike again in the future? Short answer is yes. The longer answer is it would definitely depend on timing wise, financial wise, mental health wise, physical health wise. Everything would kind of have to align again. And you know, obviously this year I had saved up for years to do this, and you know, I still have that money saved up. I mean, I'm using it right now because I'm not working, so like paying rent and all those things, I'm using that money to do those, like just pay for normal bills like groceries, utilities, rent, all those things that I wasn't paying when I was on trail. So I'm using that money just to live normal life right now. But I mean, I should still have some saved up by the time I start working again, whether it be teaching in August or whether it be me getting this other job that I've talked about a bunch. That's one thing that I would have to work to rebuild up that savings. So it would definitely be a couple years in order to do that. Another situation is I would need to definitely be mentally prepared for it. I mean, I think I was pretty mentally prepared for like the actual hiking portion of it. Obviously the cold rain sucked, but I dealt with it. You know, it wasn't fun, but I dealt with it for the most part. I had ways to get off trail if I needed to. I had practiced hiking in the rain here in Florida, so like it's not like I wasn't prepared for that mentally, but that was definitely, it takes a toll on you mentally, and then everything else is harder throughout the day. But what I wasn't mentally prepared for was the amount of pain I was going to be in, the amount of physical pain. And that's something that's kind of unforeseen. You don't know that you're gonna be in that much physical pain. Like, yes, I knew I was gonna be sore from hiking all the time, but I didn't realize like I'm pretty sure I'm injured, not just like sore and in pain. Like I'm pretty sure it's an injury. So, you know, dealing with that was definitely mentally taxing. So making sure that I'm mentally prepared for that. Mentally prepared for hiking solo. I'll talk about more about that in my next video coming out about what I would do differently if I were to go out and through hike again. Definitely subscribe if you want to watch that video. And then I would need to make sure that I'm physically healthy and ready for that. So, you know, making sure my joints are good to go, making sure my feet are good to go, making sure I have, a lot of people have said I need to get different shoes. Yes, I know. Like, please back off on that train. Like, I've heard it a million times. I know. But the shoes are not the only issue. It's hard just hearing the same comment over and over and over again, and it's like, guys, I'm not even on trail anymore. Like, I know I don't need to get, like, I know I need to get different shoes, but like, I'm not on trail, so like, calm down. Anywho, short answer is yes, I would definitely attempt it again. Long answer is I would need everything to kind of align, and just it would be a few years before I were able to get out there, is basically what I'm saying. The next question I got from a subscriber, Wendy. The weather definitely will shift. Will that make a difference if you will return or not? She says good luck in my future, and she enjoyed following my journey. Thanks, Wendy. I definitely think the weather took a toll on my mental status a lot of days. The cold rain obviously sucked. I told y'all that was a big fear of mine because, you know, once you're wet and your clothes are wet and everything is soaking and then the temperatures are freezing at night, it's scary. Like, you could honestly die from it. So that definitely took a toll on me. The coldness in the Smokies obviously sucked because you're just cold the whole time. But I think, you know, I have friends who are still out there, and this is 3 weeks later after me getting off. I have friends who are still out there who had to get off trail because of freezing rain and whatnot. So like, everyone's saying like, oh, the weather's gotten better in the last like couple days since you got off trail, and I'm like, actually it hasn't. Like, it's still the same. Like, I still would be going through 3 more weeks of like cold weather. And like, granted, there has been some days out there, I've been checking on the weather obviously because I'm still invested in this year of through hikers. I'm still invested in the whole process, but there's obviously been days where it's been warmer than what it was in the Smokies, but it still has had days where it's been freezing rain. And like, I'm sure come May, it's gonna start really getting warm and like consistently warm, hopefully for those people who are still out there. But like, it still would have been a while for the weather to change and like make a difference. But no, the weather wouldn't have made a big difference for me to stay out there or not. I am too physically injured for that. Okay, next question. S. Wilshire, I think that's how you say it, asked me, how did the trail not meet my expectations? Was it mentally tough? I think the trail really did meet and exceed my expectations. I think the first part of the trail, honestly, the first, you know, however many miles I did, I forget. I think it was like 270 something, somewhere around those lines that I did of the trail. I never really looked at the exact number. But it was really hard in the sense that like, there were views, right? And that's a big part of me hiking is getting some cool views. But like, a lot of the time you were just hiking. Like, it's not like you were like they say on the PCT and the CDT, like you're constantly hiking and just have these gorgeous views all the time, mountains in the distance, because it's not the green tunnel like the AT is. And maybe I should have done the PCT or the CDT to get those views, but I wanted to do the AT because I wanted other aspects like the social aspect and all those things. But anyway, I think that was kind of tough because the few times that you would go to get a view, like I think for example, when the day we were supposed to hit Clingman's Dome, we didn't go out to see it because it was pouring down rain, it was freezing cold, we would have been completely socked in and we wouldn't have seen a view. I know the day we were going up Train Mountain, it was the same thing. It was just completely socked in. We didn't see any views. So it was like kind of tough in that sense of like, you finally getting to this like iconic view spot like Clingman's Dome, and it's just, you don't even go up to see it because it's freezing cold rain. So that was kind of tough. I think in the sense of like physicality, like I said before, I didn't realize like how hard my feet were gonna take a toll. I didn't realize how bad my ankles would hurt from it. I kind of expected that I would be in pain a lot of the time, but I didn't necessarily realize like that I would get injured. So mentally it was tough, and I talked about this in my like I quit video, but it was tough because I didn't realize how much the social aspect would influence me. And hiking with someone else, I didn't realize like how much difference we had in our views on how we wanted to hike the trail. So that really was hard for me mentally. But y'all can go back and watch the I quit video if you want to hear more about that. I talk about it in pretty good detail there. So Gonzo49868 says, hi, I recently shared about some foot issues, or you recently, I recently shared about having some foot issues. How are they doing? So I kind of talked about this in an earlier question, but my left foot, the swelling has gone down. I don't really have pain in it now. Every once in a while when I wake up in the morning, it's still like a little sore, but my right foot, I'm having some pretty serious pain in like the inside of the ankle part. And then sometimes in the arch, it hurts as well. The arch part, I'm pretty sure is just my plantar fasciitis flaring up. And that's probably flaring up because I'm walking differently on it to like compensate for the ankle pain. But I don't know. I'm nervous that it's like a stress fracture and it's gonna like fuse or whatever the wrong way and it's gonna hurt for the rest of my life. I'm nervous about that. So hiking the AT can definitely cause some long-term permanent damage to your feet if you're not careful. But I'm not sure. I haven't gone to the doctors yet, so I don't really know, but I will say my right foot is still in a lot of pain. Like I mentioned earlier, I have been wearing these UFUs around the house. They are like a recovery sandal, so that's been helping the last couple days to not be walking on like hardwood, as y'all can see. So these have been really nice to walk around on. I've been icing my feet a lot, doing like Epsom salt baths on my feet, and just kind of really trying to take care of them. And I really haven't been doing much like walking around. I've just been kind of chilling in my house. So, okay, V Shy BJ 8756 asked me how my tent things went down. So if y'all didn't see it on my channel, my tent pole broke when we were coming out of the knock. That evening we had a pretty big windstorm and my tent pole snapped. And basically he or she, I don't know, or they, I don't know, was asking about what happened with that whole tent situation with Big Agnes, and kind of like what happened with the pole. Did they replace it for free and all that? So basically the tent pole snapped, and that evening I went on, we had a little bit of service, so I went on to their Instagram and messaged them. I had bought the tent from REI, so I went to REI's Instagram and messaged them. And then in the morning, and then I went back to sleep because it was like in the middle of the night, like 1 or 2 in the morning. And so then in the morning I woke up and I messaged them, or I sent them an email, Big Agnes customer service, and was like, hey, my tent pole is not obviously working. It snapped last night, like in the windstorm. Like, what can I do to get it replaced? Like, I'm currently out on the Appalachian Trail. Like, I can't just go into a store and get it fixed. And I got like a generic, like, we will reply in 48 to 72 hours. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of the woods. I can't. So I ended up calling them later when I got to a place that I had better service at. It wasn't that great of service, so like the call kept going in and out and it was hard to hear the lady. But basically she was saying that it would take them 10 to 12 days to get it, for me to ship it out and them to like process it all, and then it was going to take 10 or 12 more days to get them to be able to send me out a new replacement. And so I was gonna have to send in my tent poles and get them to replace, like fix it for me, and then send it back out to me. So it's gonna be like basically a month of me without these tent poles. And I'm like, I can't take a month off a trail and not use a tent, and then that puts me in a situation where it's like I have to get to the shelter each night and like get to the shelter early so I have a spot in the shelter. So I was kind of upset about that. And then they were and I was like, I can't really do that. And I was like, can you just send me out a replacement, and like I can send you like these poles back? And basically they were like, they don't have full tent pole sets that they can send out. And I was like, well, like I'll pay for it, like I don't care, like I'll pay for the whole tent pole set, like just send it out to me. And they're like, no, we don't do that, like we don't have tent pole sets that we can just send you. So at that point, like I was just like, all right, well, I'll call you back later, like once I decide what I'm gonna do. And so I talked with my hiking partner, and she like posted something on Instagram about it. I never watched it, so I don't know what she said, but they ended up messaging her instantly on Instagram, where I had messaged them in the middle of the night and they never responded back to me on Instagram. But they responded back to her immediately when she said something on her stories about it. I'm assuming it was like kind of like bad press for them, so they were like, oh shoot, we need to figure this out. And so then they told her that they would get it processed or something like that really quickly. So they sent me an email and they said, okay, we can send you out a replacement pole, and it's still gonna take like 7 to 10 days to get there. And I'm like, I'm hiking the trail, like I need it now. And so then they were like, okay, well, we can try to make it happen a little bit faster for you, but like it's still gonna take some time. And I was like, I don't care, like just send me out the pole. So it was like 1 pole segment. And I was like, I'll pay for it to be like 2-day shipping, like I don't care, like I just need it to get to where I'm staying. So then they were like, okay, well, like, we can't promise it'll be 2-day shipping, but like, so give us a place that's like a week out from where you're at, and we can send it there. So I had them send it to, what was that place called? I had them send it to Standing Bear, because that was like gonna be the next hostel that we were staying at after the Smokies. So I ended up not getting it, but it ended up getting there like 2 days later. Like, they did 2-day shipping, which is pretty annoying, but I ended up having to pay $25 for them to ship it there in 2 days, which I'm like, they could have shipped it to the place that I was at in 2 days, because I was there for 3 days, but whatever. So I mean, I was pretty upset about the whole situation, because I felt like they didn't care to help the situation out at the time, until someone else complained about the situation on social media and like made them look bad, and that's when they finally like were like, okay, we'll help out this hiker. So I'm like, it kind of made me upset about that, because I'm like, y'all didn't really care, y'all are only trying to like get good press for your company. So I mean, it ended up getting all figured out. I ended up getting the tent pole, but they really didn't care to help me out there. So just be forewarned. I still really liked my tent. I really enjoyed it for the most part, using it, and I'm still gonna keep the tent and still use it. But I would just say, be forewarned, if you are out there with the tent, the customer service is gonna take you a while to get in touch with them, and it might not be the best situation for you if you're through hiking. But yeah, Tweenier, I think is how you say it, Tweenier, asked me, what could I have done more or better to prepare myself for the through hike? I think I prepared myself pretty well as far as like physicality goes, and as far as mentally goes. I think having more conversations with my through hiking partner would have definitely benefited me about what she wanted out of the hike. I mean, we did have conversations, but I feel like we could have talked more about it, I guess. I think that would have definitely prepared me, or planning just to go solo would have prepared me as well. I think in the future, if I were to go out and through hike again, I definitely would spend more time on my feet. I think a lot of the like last month before I went out, I was doing some training, but I wasn't spending as much time on my feet as I should have. And so just like, I was putting in miles of training before, but I wasn't like doing it in a long period of time, because I was hiking in Florida. So like, flat land takes you a lot less time to hike 8 miles than 8 miles on mountain terrain. So just spending more time out hiking on my feet would have definitely helped me more. I mean, I read the books, I listened to the podcast, I did all the mental preparation, I made my list of whys I'm out there, what I wanted to get out of the hike. Like, I read the whole Appalachian Trails book. I know a few of you like recommended that to me, like, you should read that and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I did read that. I did read it before trail. Like, y'all should follow my Instagram, because I post things on there, and I had posted things on there about what I was doing in more real time than what I did on YouTube. But yeah, I think I prepared pretty well. I think it's just I didn't, you know, think I was gonna get injured, and I think I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be hiking with someone else when our goals were different. PRG 1965 asked me, she wants me to know my thoughts on what surprised me most about the trip, positive or negative surprises. So I think I've mentioned a lot of negatives here already, so let's talk about some positives. I think I saw a lot of kindness out on the trail. I really did. A lot of people were willing to help out. A lot of people were willing just to like have conversations with random strangers. Like, you would pass by these people and all of a sudden it's like you're having a conversation with these random people you don't even know their name, and you're just talking to them. Like, it was so cool to see like just people interacting with each other. And I knew that was going to happen out there, because I've heard such great things about the AT community, but it was just really cool to see in person. And that would definitely be like a big surprised like that it actually happened. I have a lot of you guys donate and a lot of like trail magic out there, so thank you again for that. I really appreciate it. It definitely uplifted my spirits every time I got some trail magic, so thank you again to those of you who donated or those of you who provided me trail magic out on the trail. Definitely helped my spirits and I really appreciate it. So yeah, I would say that that was definitely a really big surprise for me, or just something that I really liked about being on trail. It was the kindness and just like the cool social interactions you had with people. Like, I just thought it was awesome. Handy Marcus asked, is Spirit Fingers still out on the trail? So he's referring to my thru-hiking partner. I have commented on a few people's comments when they were asking about her. Y'all can go follow her channel. Her channel is Trailing Tempest. I don't know if she's really posting anything on there, but if y'all want to know if she's still on trail and like what her plans are, definitely go to her channel and check out what she's doing over there. This channel is my journey, and she just happened to be there being in the videos because we were hiking together. But if y'all want to know what's going on with her, you can direct questions to her journey on her channel. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Anna Reed asked me, was there anything in my gear that I wish I had done differently? I'm going to talk more about this in the what I learned video, like if I were to go out and reattempt the thru-hike video. So definitely subscribe so you can watch that. But I definitely think there were a few pieces of gear that if I were to go out again that I would swap out. Obviously my shoes. We've talked about that. Y'all have commented it a million times that I needed different shoes. Yes, I know. Maybe the Ultras were not that great for me. I mean, I practiced hiking in them. Those are the shoes that I trained hiking in for years, like Ultras. I mean, I got different like new pairs when it was too much mileage and the tread was running out, but that was the pair of shoes that I was hiking in down here in Florida, and I never had any issues with my feet down here. So I thought going out on the AT I would be fine. You know, I took those shoes out on the AT with me for a section hike. I took them out on the Foothills Trail for a hike. So like I did mountainous terrain with those shoes and never had any issues. So I thought it would be fine, but I guess through hiking day in and day out, they were not great for me, clearly, because I've had feet issues and injuries and whatnot. Which may have been shoe related, or it may have been the fact that I slipped and fell on my foot really hard. I think that was coming off Standing Indian Mountain. I don't know what caused this foot issue, but definitely my shoes I would look at differently, getting something without zero drop probably. My sleeping bag, I think I would look into a little bit differently just for the time of year I went out. I think I would go with a 0-degree bag because of being in the Smokies. It was pretty cold, and I was still cold even with having a 10-degree bag. There were still some nights where I was like cold in my sleeping bag. So yeah, but I think for the most part my gear worked out really well for me. I think I really enjoyed all my gear. There's not a piece of gear that I would get rid of. I used everything, and I think that comes with a lot of time that I had spent in doing shakedown hikes, a lot of time that I spent in doing research and making sure I have the perfect gear for me. So all the gear I brought out I used, and I used it pretty regularly. So I don't think there's anything that I would necessarily like drop out of my gear list to make it lighter. I know a few people said I need to make my gear list lighter, and I'm like, actually I used everything, so there's not much I could drop. I mean, I'm sure I could spend $600 and get a lighter tent, or spend $700 and get a lighter backpack or whatever, but everything worked out really well for me for the most part. So yeah, I would definitely say sleeping bag, shoes, probably those are probably some of the things that I probably would have swapped out. Flower Adventures 7172 asked me, what is something that I least expected? If I could do it all over again, what would I do differently? So like I mentioned already, I have a whole video coming out next week about things that I would do differently if I were to go out again. The biggest thing would probably be I would go out solo and just kind of do things the way I wanted to do it. And not really have anyone else that I need to compromise with, and that's no shade against my thru hiking partner. She was hiking the way she wanted to. I think just for me, it was really hard for me to stick up for myself and do the things that I wanted to do, because I also wanted the social aspect of things. But I think that would be the biggest thing. If I were to go out and do it again, I would go solo. Something that I least expected was how hard the Smokies were gonna be. Like, I had heard like that the Smokies were tough, but like until you're in it, like the Smokies are rough. Like the weather we had the first like 3 days that we were in it, until we got into Newfound Gap and went into Gatlinburg, like clouded in, socked in, raining, misting, cold. It was rough. We had some bad weather going into the Smokies, and it kind of sucked because that first half of the Smokies, it just like tore you down. Like you didn't get to see any views. I know Shuckstack Mountain, people talk about having great views from that fire tower. Didn't even go out to it because it was completely socked in. Oh my gosh, Kaden is just sitting here right now upside down. I have to show you guys. He's so cute. Anywho, so yeah, Shucksack Mountain didn't even go out to because it was completely just socked in and not even worth the attempt to go out there. So that was really tough. And then coming out of Newfound Gap, the temperatures dropped so drastically. Like it was in the teens at night, and everything was iced over at that point because of all the rain from the days before, and everything had frozen from the teen temperatures. So like we were having to hike over ice, which we were not expecting. So we didn't have like what do they call them, micro spikes or whatever for our shoes. So we were just slipping and sliding. At one point my water, like I fell, my water bottle flew out of my pocket and just slid down the ice and went off the side of the mountain. So like if y'all going through the Smokies and you see a little water bottle off to the side, that's my water bottle. But yeah, I didn't expect that. The water sources in the Smokies were rough. A lot of times there wasn't any water sources except for at the shelters, so you would go like 7 or 8 miles without any water sources, and then like sometimes you would come across a water source and you would think that there was going to be water there, and there would be barely any water. You couldn't even like fill up your water bottle fully. So like that really sucked in the Smokies. So that's something that I didn't really expect a lot. JR92562 says, sad to see you leave trail. I enjoyed your videos, but they're gonna support me all the way. It was an amazing journey. More than most would ever do. Keep that in mind. Most people just sit on their couch and never get out there. So they asked me what was the hardest part. I think I've talked a lot about that. Would you leave that early again? I'm gonna talk about that in next week's video, so definitely watch that one. I talk about it. It's a whole point. It's like 2-3 minutes of me talking about that. Would I recommend someone train before hiking the AT? Yes. I don't think anyone should just go out there without any training just from sitting on their couch. I mean, you can, but it's definitely gonna make it a lot tougher physically to get out there. It's gonna take you a lot longer to do the miles, and it's gonna be a lot more physically draining. But I definitely think putting in the work to start physically training so that way your body is a little bit more prepared. Yes, I think you definitely should prepare and train for it. I think the best training would just be putting in the miles with your backpack on your back. Obviously strength training is going to help with that too, but just putting in the miles and putting in the time on your feet with the backpack on exponentially would help you out. David Bazin 6662 asked, from my experience you've gained, would you prepare differently for your AT hike? Yes. Like I said, I would definitely put more hours into just walking with my backpack on. I think that would definitely help. I think that's going to be your best bet for training. I definitely would spend a little bit more time doing some flexibility stuff as well. Ankle mobility, building that up. I also think that I would take some supplements with me. So like right now I'm taking turmeric pills because that's supposed to help with joint pain and inflammation. So definitely take some of those with me. From my research, that's just what I found. So I would definitely do that differently, as well as take some supplements with me just to help with recovery and whatnot. I also might have swapped out my Crocs for these shoes because these are pretty light and definitely help with recovery. That's what they were designed for. So I know this is what I would have done to prepare differently, but yeah. Amy Napier, I think, Napier 3551, sorry if I said that wrong. Hold your head up high. You've done more than some only dream of. We're proud of you. I know going in you had concerns of cold, wet weather. If you had to do it over again, would you have considered a flip-flop? Okay, flip-flop, let's talk about that. I talk about this in the next video, but I think a flip-flop would definitely be something I would consider in the future, but at the time when I was planning on this, I wanted a true no-bow hike. Part of the reason why I went out on the trail was to get that social aspect. I wanted to meet a lot of people who were interested in hiking. I wanted to have a tramily. I wanted to do the whole like typical AT experience that you see online, that you hear about, that you read in books, that you see in movies, that you listen to on podcasts. I wanted that experience, that social community around the thru hike. I didn't want it just to be like, my goal wasn't just to get out there and thru hike the AT by myself and do nothing but hike. I had other goals, like social aspects. And I think doing a flip-flop, yes, there are other people that are out there doing flip-flops, but the thing with the flip-flop, depending on how you do it, you end up having to leave people a lot. I mean, if you do like a typical flip-flop where you start at Harper's Ferry and go up to Katahdin, you could meet people along the way that way. But then at the end of the hike, you still have to go back out and do the other half. Those people that you hiked with that were going no-bow, they might not necessarily, I mean, you could meet other flip-floppers out there, but most of the people you're probably going to meet are no-bowers, and they're done at Katahdin. You still have another 3-4 months, however long it takes you to get to do the rest of the southern half of the trail. And it's like, you got to start all over again with all your friends, meeting new people. So I think the social aspect would lack if I were to do a flip-flop, but it's definitely something in the future I would consider, because you would meet people along the way. And there are benefits, like you kind of get the better weather. You're going in on easier terrain, if you start at Harper's Ferry and do it that way. I think it definitely would benefit. There's a lot of benefits to it is what I'm saying. There's a lot of pros, but there's also some cons to it. So something I would consider, but at the time of me planning this original hike, I didn't necessarily want to do that just because of, I wanted that social aspect. William Futz 2248 asked, did you find the answers to the questions about your future that you had? Do you have new goals for life that you didn't have before trail? I think this is the perfect question to end on. So I had a lot of goals, and if you go back and watch my why video, why I'm hiking the trail video, you'll see socially I wanted to meet people that were interested in the same things. I wanted to have an easier way of living. I wanted a break from teaching because teaching is so stressful. I wanted a simpler, just less stressful way, or less stressful like life for a little bit. And I thought going out on the AT would do that for me. Clearly there were a lot of stresses out there that I didn't foresee happening, and a lot of it being, you know, peer pressure. And not like anyone was like pressuring me into doing things. It was always like, Laura, make your own choice from everyone else. But it was kind of hard just in my brain. I had a lot of pressures that I was putting on myself to stay with the group. And I talked about a lot of that in my other videos, but so I think I didn't find all the answers because of me not doing it for myself. I was doing it for other people. And if I were to go out again, like I said, I would definitely hike solo. I would definitely put in the time to just really like reflect on my own life and do things the way I wanted to do it. And if that meant that I was gonna have people around me that were interested in the same things, great. And if not, I wouldn't put so much pressure on the like, I need to have a group of people around me so soon. I would have just, you know, I would just stick with doing things the way I wanted to do it. So that way I had the time to think about all the answers that all the questions that I needed answers to about my future. The second part was asking me if I have new goals for my life that I didn't have before trail. I would definitely say, obviously with this job coming up, this job interview, I wouldn't say this is a new goal, but this is a goal that has resurfaced, and that's to kind of potentially get a different career path going here for me. Not that I wouldn't go back into teaching, because that's definitely still an option on the table, but I think that different career paths are surfacing more for me now than they were before trail. Outside of career wise, obviously I loved running. I talked about running a lot in my pre-trail videos, and y'all even saw on one of my trail videos I registered for a Run Disney race in November, and I'm wearing a Run Disney race shirt right now. My last video was about Run Disney, so there's definitely been a lot of theming around running. So I think I have it's not a new goal in life, but I definitely have a bigger appreciation for it now. I didn't realize how big of a passion it was of mine until I got off trail and realized, like, oh my gosh, like I might not be able to run as well as I used to because of my ankles and stuff. And it made me like really think about what's more important to me, going out and ruining my ankle health and my joint health and my foot health and not being able to run anymore, or getting off trail and being able to potentially have a good running career. I say in loose terms. I'm definitely no speedster. Yeah, so those goals have definitely resurfaced, become more apparent to me that I definitely want to train for Boston. I want to do the New York City. I've always had a dream. We went on a trip. Okay, I'm going to tell this quick story and then I'm going to be done. I went on a trip to New York City with my roommate a couple years ago, and just for the weekend. She had like a work trip coming up that following like Monday or Tuesday, and she was like, you know what, why don't we go up the weekend earlier? You can fly back like when I go to my work trip, and then like, but we can spend the whole weekend together like exploring New York City. And I was like, let's do it. And I remember going there, and it was the weekend of the New York City Marathon, and I just remember seeing people. I got up early one morning and went and got coffee. She was still sleeping and kind of like getting ready, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go down and like get a New York City coffee and like walk around like the city. I don't know, I thought that was cool. It was fun. And it was like fall time, so it was like cool weather. I was walking in a sweater and jeans, and I just see all these people running, and like I was like, oh my gosh, like, and from that moment I was like, I want to do this marathon. This would be so cool. So I have that dream to do that. Obviously Boston's a big one, London Marathon, the Berlin Marathon, you know, there's a lot of the world majors. All those would be really cool to do. Those goals, not that they're new, but they have resurfaced for me. And I definitely think the AT is not off the table for me. While this channel might not be fully AT related for the next couple years, not throwing hiking out the window or anything. I know a lot of people have commented and been like, are you gonna sell your gear? I hope you should still go out and hike and blah blah blah. And I'm like, guys, just because I quit my thru hike doesn't mean I'm gonna stop hiking. Like I like hiking, I just am not gonna do a thru hike right now. So anywho, all this to say, there were a ton of more questions that y'all had asked me, so I appreciate it. If y'all have more questions, you can comment them down below, and maybe I can do a part 2 in the future. But that being said, I'm gonna close out this video. Next week, I've mentioned a lot about what the video idea that I have, that I've filmed, that I've scheduled. I've already edited it for you guys. I kind of filmed these out of order, but I already mentioned I'm gonna talk about things that I would do differently in the next video, and then the following video is gonna be me announcing a trip that I am going on. I am spending some of my AT saved up money to go on a trip for myself It's gonna be a solo trip and I'm so excited. So definitely stay tuned for that one. I'm gonna take you guys with me, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.